Hello, hello, my little raindrops. You might be thinking, hey, Pixel, didn't I click on a Planet Zoo video and not a Minecraft video? And you would be right. I am gonna try a new kind of intro where we kind of just jump right in with little pop-ins from me in my recording world throughout the video. But, anyways, today we will be starting a Planet Zoo challenge mode zoo because, those zoos do not require stable internet to record, and as y'all know, my internet not the best. So I will try to do a franchise mode later, but that is not top priority right now. But all said and done, let's head in. I have decided to name the zoo Pixel Reserve. It is a zoo in North America. I would like to imagine that is specifically in the northern Midwest, because that's what a lot of the trees remind me of. I chose the difficulty medium because I don't like easy because it feels like nothing happens, and hard mode I've never tried and would like to play it off camera before I decide to make a whole series on it. As you can see here, I'm starting to lay down some of the paths. I am adding some of these guest barriers so I can change the path from the staff path to a path I like a bit more, because in my opinion, the staff paths are a bit ugly in this game, but they're needed. And so I'm choosing this pebble texture for right now. It might change later, I don't know, it's been a while since I recorded this, but the first thing I always do is I place down every single building. I don't care if it's not necessary, I just do it. I also place down an extra mechanic's hut I don't know, it's just a part of my starting that I don't really think about it, it just happens. I hate the pathing system in this game, but you kind of just learn to get used to it. But yeah. Wowzers. So fun fact about me, I am indecisive as hell. So putting the Zoopedia in front of me is like telling me, hey, you have 200 options, but this will base the next 10 to 15 exhibits that you want to do. And so this took me about 30 minutes IRL, but at first I wanted to do the Japanese raccoon dog, but they didn't have it in the trade center. And so I went through, I think 10 different options. And then I finally ended up with the Arctic fox, which I am also really excited about because I've had them before as my starter animals. But let's go meet the 3 that I picked up from the trade center. All of these foxes' names will change. I do not change them till later in the video. But here I am setting up the enclosure so we can have 6 adults and 3 juveniles because I eventually want to have 3 pairs. Currently, all the foxes that I got from the trade center, they are all boys because they had no girls in the trade center, which made me low-key a bit sad. But hey, we do it with what we got. I do not like how you can only put one zookeeper entrance on an enclosure, because I feel like, because my original plan was to make like a pond in the middle that went like straight across to act like a mini river. I know they don't need the water space, but I sometimes like adding a little bit of water space if I wanted to. But then I cut this out of the video because I wanted to test it before I added it in, but I can't do that without making half the enclosure off limits to the keepers, which not the greatest, so I ended up not doing that. Here you can see me trying to outline a rock viewing area because I want to make this like the header of the area that we're going to be creating over here. I want to call it Arctic's Ridge, and so on top of this later I am going to add a big sign that says that with a few animal structures we will unlock later down the line. here is just me really struggling trying to figure out how to get the one-way glass to work. Um, I like that we get one-way glass unlocked in the building materials, but I kind of wish that we got also unlocked with the barriers. Because currently, my two options, I can make every single glass option with the one-way glass with the building materials, or I can do the normal barriers with the glass. But the thing about the one-way glass that I don't like with the building materials is that they overlap and don't like kind of click together, which kind of sucks, but you do what you got. So I did figure out how to do this. I used 2 different size glass and shoved them down into the ground and got them aligned so they look somewhat seamless, but not the best. I'm hoping to make this whole enclosure a bit better once I get more unlocked. So as you could see with how I am building a lot of the enclosure so far from the build tab, it looked like I was going to make this whole enclosure custom. I wasn't going to use like any of the barriers. And then I tried to do curved walls, as you can see before the cut, and that didn't work the best if I'm going to be honest. Oh, there's a creeper right behind me. I couldn't get the curved walls to align to the regular walls correctly, and I spent, I think, a good 15 minutes trying to get to work, and then ended up just giving up and using the log barrier walls. I do want to change them in the future, but this is just a temporary to get the zoo started. There is glass in the log walls, but I don't really like them so much, but we'll change them in a future episode, probably next episode. But yeah, let's hop right back in. Right here, this is me trying to terraform the habitat a little bit before I add our foxes in, because if you've never played Planet Zoo before, a feature that they have is protesters if your animal's welfare is so low. I have had protesters come as soon as I got animals into the exhibit because I forgot to add a bit of terraforming in plants, terrain before I added them in, and I don't want that to happen, so I'm gonna add very bare bones things to the exhibit. Here is me trying to get the cooling system to work because of how since this is a temperate zoo, it will have very hot seasons and very cold seasons, but every single habitat is either going to have a heater or cooler so they don't freak out when it comes summer or winter, because that can kind of get annoying, but it is something that happens in the game. I think I end up keeping it at full because it doesn't really make much of a difference with cost, and I can't really like get it to the perfect shape because I made it such a weird shape. But here I am going to start adding in our wonderful staff. So as you could see, I added in staff and I put our animals into quarantine. The original plan was for me to put the animals in quarantine to make sure they had no injuries, no illnesses before I incorporate them into their new habitat. Because sometimes you get animals and they're very, very badly beaten and you don't know why because they look perfectly healthy at the trade to them, but they're apparently not. And so it just gets that all out of the way. But I wanted to change staff's uniforms because that's something I found out you could recently do, and I've never done that before. And so I started on that, and then that turned into me looking up color palettes online, and then the color palette's not working, me getting fed up and just choosing random colors. And so I spent, I think, a good like 10 minutes fighting with the color wheel to get to work straight. And then after that, spend another 30 minutes trying to recolor everyone. So I cut that out of the video because I'm assuming y'all don't want to see me fighting with the color wheel. But let's go look at our new staff's outfits. I don't know if I show them very close up, but you'll see them in the background. From this angle, it does look like our Arctic fox is enclosure. It looks very sad, but instead of focusing on that for right now, I'm gonna try to add some color to this path with soil, and I think it looks better. I don't know why I said better like that. That was weird. Later I will add more to the enclosure. So after our foxes were ready to be taken out of quarantine, I realized that 2 of them had the same name, and so I decided to name our first gen of foxes. So our first gen of foxes are all going to be named after cheese. And so we have Swiss, Blue, and Cheddar. All the adults we get for this first generation, they're going to be named after cheese because it keeps it a bit more organized. I will, I like having naming systems. It's fun. If you guys have ideas for what the next generation of Arctic foxes we have at our zoo could be named, leave them down below. Here you can see me adding some more terrain because they do not like long grass. I kind of forgot that. But at a certain point, you see me give up because I cannot, for the life of me, find more long grass to eradicate from their enclosure. I swear I got it all out, but they keep on saying, no, there's more long grass. There was not more long grass. I looked off camera. There was in fact not more long grass. This is me frantically realizing, shit, I didn't give these foxes a way to eat. They need to eat and drink, so how about I place this down? So I put down the small feeding tray over there and then a large feeding tray over there, and I like the water pipe because the water pipe I think looks better, and I think there's a special feature with it. I cannot remember it off of the top of my head, but I still really like it. this is the start of me trying to create a vendor shop, which we will get to next episode, but I ran out of time. So we have 2 shops that we are going to combine together to make a little stall out opposite of the foxes. But as we near the end of the video, something I would like to do in every single Planet Zoo video I do is do a little fun fact section about the animal we mainly focused on for that day. So with all said and done, let's hop right into that. Arctic foxes have a wild population of around 630,000. They live for around 3 to 6 years in the wild. Their scientific name, and I am sorry if I butcher this, is Volupirus lageruapus. As for their conservation status, they are least concerned, and they usually live in family groups. In our zoo, it will be a little bit different because these are a bunch of Arctic foxes that we are putting together. The countries where Arctic foxes can be found are Canada, Russia, Greenland, Iceland, Norway, Finland, Sweden, and the United States, primarily in Alaska and the US. Their diet is primarily carnivorous, and some fun facts about them is that Arctic fox can smell a seal den from a mile away. Arctic fox dens are sometimes used for generations, and some are as old as 300 years. And my final fun fact about them is that they do not hibernate, but their fur does change colors with the seasons. Some not so fun facts is that they were heavily impacted during the fur trade because their pelts were viewed as high quality. And with how climate change is affecting the Arctic, their habitat is currently being affected with reduced sea ice, melting permafrost, and rising sea levels. All this information was found from the World Wildlife Fund and National Geographic. As this video comes to a close, I'll let y'all spend some time with Swiss before I end this video. I hope you guys come back to see part 2, and bye-bye. I'll see you guys next week.